Hey everyone, Dylan here from Quality Beast, a Berlin-based publishing company. And if you don't know us already, then you might know us by Seize the Bean, which is our first game. It was on Kickstarter and is now on ZekZek. So, the story behind Seize the Bean is all about a love of coffee and a love of the city of Berlin, and trying to combine those into one thing. And the process of development and design has been really long, but my favorite part about it has been working directly with the community. And I don't mean professionals, I mean working directly with players. At every event we went to, we showed really early prototypes, got feedback, and drastically changed the game so that it matched what players wanted to see more. And this is similar to playtesting, but we called it live development because the game really changed over time. That's sort of the story of how we created Seize the Bean. The mechanics in the game are similar to other deck builders, because Seize the Bean is a deck builder, but there are some aspects of it that people have said are more unique, and one of those is that in other deck builders, you're putting cards in your deck that later come out and give you certain abilities, certain powers. But in Seize the Bean, it's almost the reverse. You're putting cards in your deck that later come out and you have a responsibility to service. So it's almost like you're punishing yourself in the game. But if you can maintain those cards, keep them happy because they're customers, then you'll receive benefits from them. We add a second layer on top in that sometimes those benefits aren't as good as they seem. So there's a lot of layers on top of just the idea of putting cards in a deck. You have to think really carefully about the responsibility you have for each card. So that's one of the really enjoyable aspects of Seize the Bean that can sometimes help you win the game and other times help you lose the game. Seize the Bean and Quality Beast in general are about humor. We love having fun and laughing, and definitely have a lot of funny stories. But I'll share just one with you today, and that is about our infamous sugar cube. So this is a 3D printed sugar cube. This is not a real sugar cube, but it definitely looks like a real sugar cube. And we prototyped our components very early on, I think even at Spiel 16, and people were saying then that it's so real, oh no, the children will eat it, which of course didn't happen, and if it had, that would have been very alarming. But the funny story I want to tell you is how we created this sugar cube. We have a amazing 3D printer, Johannes, who is in Berlin, but we have a 3D modeler, Jonas, who is in Bremen, another German city not too far away from Berlin. And they work together. But what's so funny is that Jonas provided a 3D model to Johannes that was very, how can we say it, interesting looking. It did not look like a sugar cube. And we were unsure. Johannes did not want to print it. He said, I'm not printing that. And Jonas said, just trust me, just print the model. And then, of course, we printed it and it came out looking like this. And we had to ask Jonas, how did you do that? Because the model doesn't look anything like the sugar cube. And he said he created a model that interrupts the logic of the 3D printer. And it confuses the 3D printer. And because of this, it looks very organic. So basically, he hacked the 3D printer. And I find that to be a really beautiful story, hilarious, very weird, but also it speaks a lot to us as a company and how we work as a team, that we really think outside of the cube, or the box, as they say. Lastly, I first want to say to all of the backers of the Taiwan campaign, thank you. You are blowing my mind. I had no idea that people would be so into the game in general, not to mention all the different languages. So thank you so much. The support has been overwhelming. Working with the Wood Games has been a huge pleasure. And I have a question for you as well that I want to hear about in the comments on the campaign or anywhere on the internet. And that is, if Seize the Bean was made into a Taipei version, how would the the different customer groups be? So would you have hipsters? Would you have tourists? Would you have different groups? What groups would represent the Taiwan coffee scene the most? That's what I want to know from all of you. And with that, I say thank you. It's been awesome to talk to you today. And I'm looking forward to see how far this campaign can go. Ciao, y'all. This is Dylan from Quality Beast.